Caitlin Clark's debut in the European League wasn't just an arrival, it was a showstopper. When the young basketball sensation took to the court for her much-anticipated European debut, it was as if the internet collectively held its breath. Clark, known for her sharpshooting and swagger in the WNBA, brought her electrifying game overseas, and the world watched as she delivered a performance that reverberated far beyond the arena walls. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. From the moment the first tip-off happened, there was a buzz of anticipation. This was no regular debut. Fans were eager, analysts were curious, and even her new European teammates seemed on edge, wondering just how this American star would fit into their fast-paced style. And fit she did, but not without a few moments that made the crowd laugh, gasp, and ultimately cheer. Caitlin's entry into the league wasn't just about playing basketball. It was a cultural crossover, a merging of styles, expectations, and a bit of her own fiery flair. The opening minutes of her debut game seemed like a warm-up for Caitlin. She didn't rush into things, taking a couple of passes, sizing up her defenders, and scanning the court with that characteristic sharpness she's known for. It almost seemed like she was waiting for the moment to strike, like a lioness studying her prey. The crowd's murmurs turned into a hushed silence, as if they knew something was coming. And then it happened. Clark drained a three-pointer from a distance that was more like a dare than a shot. The arena erupted. Suddenly, it wasn't just a game. It was the Caitlin Clark show. In her first match, Clark's confidence stood out. There's something about the way she carries herself on the court, like she's got her own gravitational pull. Her expressions are a mix of intense focus and playful daring, and it's contagious. Teammates feed off it, opponents are rattled by it, and fans can't get enough of it. She gives knowing nods to her teammates after setting them up with slick assists, and she flashes a grin that's part amusement, part warning to her defenders that you might want to guard me tighter. Clark's ball handling was another highlight of the game. She wasn't just out there to shoot, she was out there to create. At one point, she made a pass so casual and clever that it had the opposing team looking around in confusion, trying to figure out what just happened. It was like she wasn't just playing basketball. She was improvising a jazz solo, throwing in unexpected twists and turns that kept everyone on their toes. And when she decided to drive to the basket, there was no stopping her. She'd slice through defenders with a deceptive smoothness, finishing her layups with a light touch that seemed almost effortless. Fans online couldn't stop talking about it. Clips of her deep threes and cheeky passes flooded social media, sparking a flurry of memes and viral posts. WNBA fans expressed shock, not because they doubted her abilities, but because seeing it in real time, in different context, was a revelation. It's one thing to dominate on your home turf. It's another to show up in unfamiliar territory and make it yours. The comment sections were a blend of awe and playful exaggeration, with phrases like Caitlin breaking ankles in every time zone, and Europe just met its basketball queen making the rounds. It wasn't just a sports story, it was a moment. Clark's interactions with her new teammates were another intriguing aspect of her debut. At first, it seemed like the European squad wasn't sure what to make of their American import. They had heard the stories, seen the highlights, but having her there in person, calling out plays and nodding confidently, must have been a different experience. Clark didn't seem fazed by the adjustment. When one of her teammates hesitated on a pass, Clark responded with a quick word and an encouraging tap on the back. By the second quarter, the hesitation was gone. Her new teammates seemed to trust her instincts, knowing that if Caitlin was asking for the ball, she probably had something planned that was worth seeing through. Clark's communication on the court isn't just about words. It's about gestures, eye contact, and that little smirk she throws in now and then. She has a way of lifting the energy without overcomplicating things. In one instance, after drawing a foul on a daring drive, she got up and gave her opponent a wink. The defender's expression was priceless, a mix of irritation and reluctant admiration. It was like Caitlin was telling them, "Nice try, but you'll have to do better than that." The way Caitlin handled the European game's slight differences was also telling. For one, the crowd energy was different, less about rowdy chants and more about rhythmic applause and bursts of cheering. Clark didn't try to adapt to their style, instead she brought a bit of her own energy to it. When the opposing team went on a small run, she didn't just call for the ball. She clapped her hands and waved for it with a grin, like she was saying, "Let's fix this." And fix it she did, sinking a tough three over a defender who probably thought they had her locked down. Moments like these were what made fans sit up and take notice. This wasn't just an American import trying to fit in. This was a player with a plan and a purpose. What stood out most wasn't just Clark's skill, but her presence. There's something magnetic about watching her play. She doesn't need to scream or celebrate wildly to make her point. Just a quick fist bump, a knowing nod, or a casual jog back to the bench, with that business-as-usual look on her face. It's that quiet confidence that made her debut such a captivating event. As the game went on, it became clear that Clark wasn't just winning over fans. She was winning over critics, teammates, and even her opponents. There was one instance where, after hitting a particularly audacious three-pointer, she glanced over to the opposing team's bench, raising her eyebrows slightly, as if to say, "Didn't think I'd make that, did you?" It wasn't cocky, just a subtle acknowledgement of her own talent, an almost comedic moment that the internet, of course, ran wild with. After the game, social media was a whirlwind of reactions. Fans expressed their amazement at how quickly Clark adapted, how seamlessly she blended into a new team and system, and how effortlessly she seemed to take control of the game. There were tweets like, "Caitlin just treated Europe like an extension of her backyard," and memes comparing her to a traveler who gets off the plane and starts giving directions. It was clear that her impact went beyond just basketball fans. She had captured the broader public's attention. Clark's debut also stirred conversations about what this might mean for the future of women's basketball. Her performance in the European League sparked discussions about the growing globalization of the sport, the increasing fluidity of talent moving between leagues, and the expanding audience for women's sports. It was a sign that women's basketball wasn't confined by borders, and that players like Clark could be stars anywhere, transcending the limitations of geography and league differences. The internet has a habit of turning moments into movements, and Caitlin Clark's debut had all the elements of a moment that would echo far beyond the final buzzer. It wasn't just about basketball. It was about the way she brought her personality, her style, and her flair into a new arena and made it her own. Fans connected with her, not just as a player but as a character, someone who played with a combination of confidence and joy, and who didn't take herself too seriously even when the stakes were high. In the end, Caitlin Clark's European debut wasn't just a game. It was a showcase of what happens when talent, confidence, and opportunity come together in a perfect blend. She didn't just score points, she made a statement. Her performance was a reminder of why fans love sports in the first place: the unpredictability, the thrill of watching someone push the boundaries of what's possible, and the moments of brilliance that make you lean forward in your seat, eyes wide, mouth open, wondering, did she just do that? Caitlin Clark's journey overseas felt less like a transition and more like an expansion. She wasn't leaving behind her WNBA career. She was adding another chapter, one that fans in Europe and beyond were now eagerly following. Her debut wasn't about proving herself. She'd already done that in the States. This was about showing that great basketball transcends leagues, continents, and cultures. And in that regard, Caitlin's debut couldn't have gone better. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.